Tugboats? What are tugboats?
Tugboats. They're a boat that people tug, I guess. I don't know.
Tugboats. How do we feel about tugboats?
It's a nice little boat, you know, who goes by in the sea, yes.
I'm not really sure what a tugboat is. Okay.
I made one actually in ceramics class in 9th grade.
Tugboats.
The average person's concept of a tugboat is that it comes in New York and guides passenger ships through the rivers and into the piers. But the tugboat does a lot more.
Tugboat tows barges, dock ships.
Basically, it provides a propulsion for things that either don't have propulsion or need propulsion in a different direction or a different place, like ships. And barges, of course, don't have their own propulsion. And so you're working with another floating thing all the time. So there's that dynamic in tugs that other vessels don't have. That's their specialty.
I don't think people think too much, you know, about us at all. I don't think people in general ever give us a second thought, you know.
Always someone envies you, but that's usually the summertime, you know. I've been tied up to a dock, and a fella come down. Boy, he says, I wish I had your job. I said, meet me here in January.
Ours was just a family business. My father was, he started it, and it was just his livelihood. It was at a poor time that he actually began. It was during the Great Depression. He survived enough to raise his family and interest his sons, and of course his grandsons. We've made a fair living at it, you know. I think if we were looking to be wealthy, we've gone someplace else. Pride, I think, is the word for us. I'm sure they have pride among the corporations, too. But this is personal pride.
That's 20,000 barrels, which is approximately 1 million gallons. How many trucks it would take to do that?
The average tugboat, like the one behind me, will guide in cargo ships, tankers, car ships. It'll also tow barges with various cargoes, including petroleum. And those barges will hold anywhere from 1 million to 10 million gallons of petroleum products moving through the harbors of New York. If the tugboats weren't guiding these tankers and barges in and out of New York Harbor, all the roads in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut wouldn't be large enough to make up for the amount of cargo moved over the water by various tugboats. That barge is 6 million gallons. Let me see if I do my math right. 1,200 5,000-gallon tank trucks for that one barge. Over the years, the tugboats have changed. They've gotten bigger, more powerful, more efficient, better looking. They'll range from 1,000 horsepower to 10,000 horsepower, and some of your big salvage tugs will range 20,000 horsepower.
People all joke about the Turacamo girls, but everybody in this fleet wishes they could be a part of this crew.
Here, here. We have the most fun.
Not only do we have the most fun, but we also have
Probably the best job.
probably the best job, because
Everybody be trying to horn in on our action.
that's true. There's a deckhands usually line up the work over here because, number one, we get the best work, and we have the best working conditions. It's also easier to work in an atmosphere that everybody is friendly.
Okay, here we have a tugboat room, bunk beds in case you have two men. Each room has a sink, a mirror, a locker to put your gear in, and it's a small room, it's a small boat, but that's what I have to call home half the year. The other thing they use this boat for is they put people on here that are deckhands who get licenses. What Billy and I do is we break them in so that they're able to go into the wheelhouse and go steering and hold down their own watch. And they come anywhere from 3 to 4 months on a training basis. They're still deckhands, but they come up off the deck and they work in the wheelhouse with us.
At the moment, maneuvering into this slip-up ahead of us, Jennifer Turacamo is in the process of slowing down the barge. That's his engine you can hear at the moment. The ebb tide is running against both of the tugs, and we're in position to hold the Jennifer up into the current as he moves.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's easy.
The whistle signals that you're hearing are indicating what the tugboat is doing without me answering on the radio, which allows the man who's doing the job, who's Captain Hansen, on the Jennifer,
50 feet out,
clear channel on the radio.
parallel, not quite parallel to, but
And he knows exactly what the tugboat is doing for two reasons. Number one, he can look out the window and watch us. And number two, the whistle signals that he's being answered with indicate what this tug is doing.
about halfway. Frankie, come back to Tom.
It's a good job, you know, because we work a couple of days and then we go home for a couple of days.
You do, George. You do, man.
Well, not everybody gets to do it.
Maybe you do, but I mean, you know. There's certain subjects I gotta stay away from, so let's end that right now.
Tugboats!
I always see
What is a tugboat?
a tugboat's this little boat, kind of stout.
Sorry, I'm a frog, so I don't know what a tugboat is.
No, it's a boat that goes in the ocean and it takes other
big
big ships. No, it takes a little boat, takes big ships out to the ocean.
I think most people don't even know they're there. You know, there's only a few people that are in the maritime industry or people that's near the waterfront that ever even see them.
But what about all the people we meet who are out there and don't know really much about the maritime, but go bananas and bonkers over it?
Well, they like it when they see it, but what do they think about it? I don't know what they think about it.
I found that my willingness to work and enjoying the work, I was lucky and didn't get as harassed as other women have in this business. And there was a lot of people who really felt that I shouldn't be there, that I should be home cooking for someone, or I was taking a job away from a man with a family. That was a big one. There were very few times when it was real upsetting getting picked on by some of the guys, because if you're working together, then all of the stupid stuff is sort of cut out. Like trying to get a line out on a really icy, cold, nasty night. You don't have time for any stupid stuff. You need each other. I've been lucky maybe because I got into the industry not when I was real young. I was in my late 20s, as I told you, and I think it made me more confident. I think people pick up on that. And I don't feel it, maybe in some subtle ways, but confronting people one-to-one, it's not an issue. I'm not really working that much right now. We're doing very little work with the tug. It's a little bit timely for me that the economy has made things fairly slow. A lot of people are complaining about the work being slow, and we were slow this time last year, so I'm indulging in my daughter, so I'm not really working that hard. Just trying to keep my hand in the business a bit. She has a high chair in the wheelhouse, so she can learn her navigation. And at other times, she's in a whole separate cabin with somebody and taken care of and watched and stuff, so there's always now an extra person on the boat. It feels really good to be a mother, so motherhood is agreeable to me.
Every human being should try to be a good human being.
Right.
And there's a lot of people in this environmental business that are, and there's also some that aren't.